Hello and welcome to the second episode of our China under Trump series. Today we'll be talking about currency and capital outflow and inflows in China. And to discuss this with me today, I'm joined by Marios Maratheftis, who is the chief economist at Standard Chartered. So thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.
So first off, obviously across 2016 and as of now this year, the renminbi has been under extreme depreciating pressures, which has obviously caused a lot of problems for the Chinese government. They've had to really use up a lot of their foreign currency reserves to try and stabilize the currency. Based on what has been happening also in light of a strengthening US dollar and potentially inflationary pressures, maybe from some of the policies that the new US president wants to implement, how do you envision the trend of the Chinese currency in the coming year?
The way things look right now, we should anticipate inflationary pressures in the United States. We should anticipate the Fed responding to them, and we should anticipate, as a result, the dollar to be getting stronger. Now, a few years back, when we had a strong dollar appreciation trend, the Chinese matched it. The Chinese made sure that the renminbi was stable against the dollar. I'm sure they're not keen to repeat the same policy this time around. So if the dollar goes on an appreciation path because of domestic policies, I don't think the Chinese will want to match that. They would be happy to see the renminbi weakening against the dollar, but at the same time, I think the Chinese authorities will also be keen to keep it relatively stable against the basket of currencies. There might be some downside risks against the basket of currencies as well, but only moderate. But I think the key theme going forward is if we see the dollar appreciating because of policies in the United States, the renminbi should not be expected to match it. The renminbi should be expected to be weakening against the dollar by remaining relatively stable against the basket of currencies.
And why do you think this time around the Chinese authorities would be keen to let the currency sort of follow the natural trend versus a US dollar versus what has happened already in the past?
I think it was probably a mistake to match the dollar in the past. It put so much pressure on the authorities. It has also put pressure on the reserves, and it was for no real benefit to the Chinese economy. So I think the Chinese authorities see absolutely no reason why they should be matching the dollar if it moves higher. I think it's acknowledged as probably an error of what happened in the past.
And in terms of the capital outflows that China has been experiencing in all of this, obviously they've been quite severe. They've come in with capital controls. That's also starting to affect local banks, for instance. How have you reacted to the new capital controls put into place? Do you think it's the right route to take?
I think the Chinese authorities want to moderate and manage capital outflows. But having said that, we have to accept one thing. There will be capital outflows from China. There will always be capital outflows from China. China is running a savings rate about 46% of GDP, and it also has an overcapacity problem domestically. So these savings, these excess savings need to be invested somewhere, and the chances are they have to be invested abroad. China has also started the One Belt, One Road initiative. That is a capital outflow. Funds from China will be invested abroad. And I think this will be the new phase of China's globalization. Funds from China will be invested abroad, and the sphere of influence of China internationally and globally will be increasing day after day. But having said that, it needs to be managed. You cannot have unmanaged capital outflows because they can increase the pressure on the currency.
So obviously uncertainty plays a big role in terms of capital outflows generally. Do you think in light of the new US presidential administration and Donald Trump and the potential trade war animosity between the two economies, do you think this will exacerbate Chinese capital outflows going forward?
I don't think this will escalate and deteriorate the situation with outflows. First, we need to accept that there will be outflows from China. It has a significant current account surplus, it has a high savings rate, and as a result, there will be capital outflows on a net basis. And when it comes to the pressures, the rhetoric, the threat of a trade war, we also have to accept that China is also in a position to retaliate. It's interesting to note that the US and China, between the two countries, there is a strong interdependence. They're both dependent on each other, at least to some extent. And at the same time, there is a significant strategic mistrust between the two.
Okay, well, Marios, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.